Welcome to Lifestyles of the Strange and Exotic, the end of our trek through my library of awesomeness. This section, I'm kind of debating doing the sort of negative side of my library, but I'm like, no, I'm going to have to read those books over again, and some of them are like, why did they waste the paper? So I'm considering that, but I didn't want to have to make videos that are nothing but like, oh, this is horrible. I suppose I should try to find good points in some of those books. We'll see. I'll consider. But as far as this particular series of sort of more technical size, more technical books, this shall be the last. You gonna be alright with this, Phil? You sure? My co-star Phil here has been having a bit of issues with this. Now this is not a book. This was something that was buried in the dark, deep recesses of my school's library many a year ago. And since they've built new schools, I'm not quite sure the high school is no longer the high school, it's like the middle school. I have no idea. It's rather stupid, so I'm not quite sure what's still in the library, if they redid the library. I don't know. But it was a couple of years, I think, I would go to the card catalog. Anybody remember those big box things, little pieces of paper, it tells you where books are, you know. Back in the old-fashioned days. And there would be this card that was, it said, I can't quite exactly what it said. It was something to do with Star Trek. It would tell me kind of where it was, but I could never find it on the shelf. And I can't remember whatever first librarian there was, wouldn't find it or tell me anything about it. Then we ended up with like a second librarian before Mr. Browning. And I can't remember your name, but I remember your face. I don't know, he's tall, kind of gray with hair, I can't remember. But this particular librarian, who wasn't there maybe about a year, being a Trekkie, found where this thing was. Now this wasn't in the true library, you know, the main part you could access to. It was sort of in the library annex, where like the special things were kept. And I'm probably the only one that had shown any interest in this whatsoever. Now this thing, I was not supposed to technically take home, but since he was a fellow Trekkie, he let me take this home. And my father was working for Zeros at the time, which is no longer in business, sadly. And I don't know who he knew, but librarian gave this to me, who gave it to Dad, who gave it to the person to make copies of. So what I have are the copies of the originals that are wherever they are now. If they're still in the library, I don't know. And I don't remember, but the originals would be worth rather a bit of money. So it was like being, you know, handed the holy grail of awesome. So the fact that I even have copies of any of it, let alone the entire thing, is so yes, this is like fake treasure, but treasure still. And I just hope that the originals are still safe in the library, or at least it would be nice at least if they were appreciated, you know. I would love to have the originals, you know, because at least, you know, they would be safe and appreciated, not lost and forgotten in the dusty recesses of the library. Especially nowadays when nobody, I don't know how many, you know, out-of-the-closet Trekkies there would be in high school now. They'd be on Next Gen, and, you know, I don't know how many TOS guys would be. So, without further ado, these are the original blueprints to the Enterprise. And I'm talking blueprints. The book that the Mr. Scott's Guide to the Enterprise is the hors d'oeuvre. I'm showing you the meal. Phil's quivering with excitement. This, let's see, drawn by Franz Joseph, and these were not officiated, but made official by Gene Roddenberry. And this is sort of the little piece that I will show you in the corner here. I hope you can see that. And release date 7404.12. I thought there was an original Earth date on this, and I can't remember where the heck that was. And the originals came in like a similar folder to this, but it was more plastic, and it had like a weird dooflicky on it. So the only problem is the school stamped their school name on the thing, which I'm pretty sure deficiated the value there. So yes, it is pages of stuff like this. Now for me, this is just geek joy. Okay, I mean, when I saw what it was, when I finally got to see the originals, I'm like, ugh. And I think it was my reaction to this let me take it home and just drool over them. And Booklet of General Plans, USS Constitution class. So this is TOS. This is the original stuff. And this tells you the different, I'm not quite sure why they're numbered. Oh, okay, well, they're numbered sequentially. The different ships that were in that particular classification. These booklets of general plans are for the specific use of Academy cadets to familiarize themselves with the general arrangement of starships under the laws of the United Federation of Planets and its member planets. Unauthorized use or reproduction, whole or in part, without the written permission of Starfleet or its planetary agents is prohibited. 1973, Paramount Pictures Corporation. So this was originally put out in 73. So this is older than me. So, yeah. And this is page 1 of 12. In this, when you usually see schematics of the Enterprise, these are where the original drawings came from. When you see like the collector's cards and pictures in like the books, this is the originals they're taking them out of. Now, as far as finding these, I honestly don't know what to tell you. I would probably think maybe either a con, a convention, where you might find, more concentrated stuff, eBay, or maybe Amazon has them still. I don't know. These are a little more unique, so I'm not quite sure what the odds are of actually being able to find these. But definitely, if you're a Trekkie on any sort of level, they're worth the effort to find. Page 2 is just sort of another view of the whole ship, and it gives you the information of the ship. And this is the size of what the originals were, too. The originals might have been a little bigger, I don't remember. But they were set up exactly the same way. So maybe they launch you out a torpedo tube. And it kind of breaks down who's who and how many members of the crew there are, which is kind of interesting because we all know there was a 430 average complement of the Enterprise, but you never knew how it was broken down. The standard ship's complement is 43 officers and 387 crew members to make a total of 430. The standard complement for the secondary hull when operating independently is 20 officers and 50 crew members, total of 70. So the original Enterprise, which is fairly common knowledge, was supposed to separate like Enterprise D does, which you actually do see on screen. And obviously in the 60s I think it was just too technical a thing to actually show that on screen. But as far as the blueprints, as far as what the original creators wanted, that was set in the original series. Okay, well, yeah, in every case, minimum grades are shown for each billet. Individual ships may vary by reason of individual modification, so, yeah. You have 1 captain, 1 first officer, 6 helmsmen, 4 yeomans, but they have, the task is yeoman, but the rank is ensign, 1 chief navigator. I don't know if you ever really knew who the chief navigator was. I don't think it was Chekhov, because he would have been a higher rank, wouldn't he? 6 regular navigators, which I'm pretty sure what Chekhov would have fallen under. I'm not sure what an ordnance officer is. Ordnance specialists, and that's 30, and that's all under command. And you have 1 science officer, assistant science officer, scientist, 4 scientists, but you have 72 laboratory technicians. 2 yeomans under that, 1 chief surgeon, and 3 doctors? And that's under sciences. I would think you would need... Oh, okay. Okay. Then it goes on to the next page. We have 1 head nurse, 21 nurses, and 30 medical technicians. Okay, I'm like, you'd need more medical personnel. Okay, that makes sense. So there's 136 under medical. In engineering, and everybody else is basically under engineering. Other. Chief engineer, assistant chief engineer, engineering officers, engineering specialists, and there's 93 of those. Transporter specialists, there's 33 of them. 2 yeomans, 1 chief of communications, communications officer, which Uhura would have been under. Communications specialists, 1 chief of security, 5 security officers, and 84 security specialists. In other words, cannon fodder. So that breaks down how the ship is set up, which I always thought was kind of neat. So there's more of the internal structure of how Roddenberry himself wanted to set things up, which is like, you have the outboard bottom plan, which is basically the bottom of the ship, again, similar to that. Outboard bow and stern elevation, so you have the front and the back, with a lot more information. General notes continued. Is there general notes on this one? No. Oh, I think it might be from the other page. The heavy cruiser class starship has permanent staterooms which will accommodate 500 persons. This permits it to normally carry 70 supercargo in addition to the standard ship's complement. Only items which are temporarily out of use are stored. Otherwise, they are reconverted back into their basic elements for reuse as new raw materials. And it gives you the basic, they call them particulars. And more, oh, okay. General notes are on the right side and not the left, where you would naturally read left to right. That's why it made no sense. So, you have, again, this. And it's just, to me, beautiful, really. It's just a beautiful design for a ship. Some more general notes. And this is again a very popular image where you would see, unlike the collector's cards and things like that, which gives you a general idea of how the decks are set up and how the turbolifts are going. If anyone has ever played Star Trek Judgment Rights or the 25th anniversary, you kind of get a more 3D feel, if that's the same for the ship. You can still get them, and you can run them on a DOS box. And they use the original, most of the original actors. You have Leonard Nimoy, William Shatner. Some of it is so funny, especially Judgment Rights. If you do a certain scene a certain way, you can get Spock high. And Vulcan laughing gas is just so funny. So, this is just really neat. I'll give you a little closer view. I don't know if you can. I don't know how much of this is coming out. So they call this the inboard profile. 73. Wow. Hold on, 73. So this would make the originals. Let's see, where's my tools calculator? Okay. 213 minus 1973. That would make this, as of this year, 40 years old. If I had the originals printed in 73, and I think the originals from the library were of that era. I don't remember. I can't remember what was on the actual casing that these were in. So these are 40 years old. Star Trek will be turning 50 next year? No. This is Doctor Who's 50th, and it predates Trek by 3 years, so in 3 years it'll be Trek's 50. Okay. But yeah, it's like holding the Dead Sea Scrolls, kind of, you know? And from that point, it gets, from the page I just showed you, it goes into even more detail. I mean, and it goes from deck to deck to deck. I mean, most of the decks are kind of set up, you know, the same like the crew quarters, so you don't have every single deck as a page, otherwise there'd only be like 12 decks. Not even, because it shows you that. But this is the type of detailing. The rest, I mean, these are actual blueprints. This is exactly how it's set up. And this is how the bridge is set up, which is funny to me because if you're sitting in the command chair, I don't have a little model Enterprise I can show you readily. If you're sitting in the command chair looking at the view screen, you're not looking at the front of the ship. If you're coming out of the turbo lift, you're coming out of the turbo lift to the front of the ship. So the entire bridge is like skewed, so you're basically going through space sideways, which is, I can't quite, well, this is kind of how it's showing you exactly what I mean. Because you can tell the little knob on the models is right. I can't explain this without a thing. Where's the top? Is this the top? Okay. See, this is the turbo lift right here. So the bridge would be kind of facing this, you know, view screen's like over here somewhere. So you're not staring out a window. You're like, which I just think is such an awkward design. So, yeah. So if you're coming out of the turbo lift, the view screen is over here, and the front of the ship is here. I just don't understand that. So you can kind of see that way. And these are the officers' quarters on deck 5. And it just gets more awesome from there on. And I'll show you sort of, that's the saucer section in most of the, you know, most of the decks are set up in a similar way. And this is deck 6, the crew quarters. So yeah, this is the level of detail this has. So you can see like where the beds are and the loo, and because of the blueprints, we do know there were bathrooms on the Enterprise. So I think that's what that is. So yes, they did design them. You just never saw them. And that's the mess room. And you got the starboard and the port side. They have 122 double staterooms and 9 quad staterooms, which must be really awkward. And it fits 260 crew members, or 55 supercargo. And in the mess room, for at least the crew, holds 178 person. So it's like a giant cafeteria. I don't know if it's the rec room or the mess room you usually see, where, you know, the one where Kirk gets his, you know, coffee with the tribble in it. That's probably more the crew one, not the crew one, I mean the officers one, so it's a lot smaller. My theory, I don't know. And again, it just goes into so much more detail of like, some more staterooms. You got deck 7, deck plans 8 through 14, and that's in the neck, so these are a lot smaller. Decks 15 through 19, which is in the body. And this one gives you the shuttlecraft and all the goodness there. And decks 20 through 23, again in the body. And you see the pool and then, you know, the Lido deck and all that stuff. Let's see. The ship's laundry, which you would need. What am I? The pool is in a weird place. The pool is almost like, is right behind the sensor array there. So, it's just really, really cool. And the last page, which has been rather beaten up here, and it was under Fiction STA for Star Trek. Okay. Okay, the very last page gives you more of the real information. Production record by Franz Joseph Designs. Original preliminary check prints. Approved by Gene Roddenberry. Special Equicon 74 first edition. So, was that like a special, like, Trek convention? I'm not sure. Copies to the National Air and Space Museum. And then original drawings reviewed and updated. And then regular second edition, first printing, and they're in star dates, so I'm not sure what, like, the real dates would be. So this should be in the National Air and Space Museum and the Library of Congress. Good place to look. And it gives you the abbreviations, because there's a lot of abbreviations in here, and the symbols and how to read the blueprints. And this is the very last page here. So this is just, this is like the pinnacle of my library. And they're not even the originals, it's just the information that's the treasure to me. My leg's gonna sleep. Oh. And no more goodies. So this has been dusty and so yes, I keep it in my fancy high-tech mead folder they put it in. So this, I honestly don't quite know where you can find them, but anybody who, you know, really wants to know the Enterprise, especially NCC 1701, oh, they do have the next gen version, and I do have that, and it's a box that thick, so maybe I'll show you them. But these are the original series blueprints. I mean, this is, like I said, like having the Dead Sea Scrolls, you know, or a copy of them anyway. And it's beautifully designed. I mean, Franz Joseph it's just a beautiful, simplistic, realistic design. I mean, when you look at the blueprints, you can kind of go, well, yeah, that's how it would work, you know, it makes sense that this would be here, and this is this, and, you know, and you can, and I think, I don't know, I can't remember precisely, I'm pretty sure he was in, you know, World War II, and we would have a military base of reference there, but you can kind of see it plucked from how aircraft carriers are set up and built, and how actual ships of the Navy and whatever, you know, sea-type vessels there are, you know, there's a linear thought going there, so you can see, well, you know, sea ship to spaceship to starship type of thing. So it's, when you look at this, it makes sense. It's not just suddenly, you know, you're in Kirk's quarters and suddenly it's just straight up, and you can, well, that doesn't make sense because you got to go up to the neck, and you know, there's, you know, thought and logic, and it's put together so it makes sense. And when you see the blueprints, and it just opens up the whole ship, where you just see maybe a deck and the bridge and the sick bay, you know, because you're dealing in the real world, you know, that's what they had for sets. But when you see the blueprints, you can see the ship now, where you can see that Kirk would have to traverse so many corridors and take this trip from his quarters to sick bay to, you know, Spock would have to go from here to there to the bridge. You know, it's just very, very interesting. And it gives you, you know, a size kind of thing, too. And their bowling alley is a couple of decks underneath the, underneath the hangar bay here. And, too, there's that on the collector's cards, where they just show the hangar bay, and that's, again, taken from these drawings. So this, they're simple, they're just 12 pages, but it just, I don't know how much to, I don't know, it's just, wow. And,
Sorry.
this is why I don't film when he's here.
Oh, crap.
That was a quick job. I am not editing that out. Why are you back, anyway?
Why am I back?
Oh, well, you never left?
I never left.
Oh, I thought your car was gone. Oh, did you park out in... Oh. So your car wasn't in front of mine, that's all like, oh, is he gone already? How rude. He saw in my how I work here. See, now you know why I don't film when he's here. So basically, where I was going to say, trying to wrap this up, thank you to the librarian that allowed me to take this home and copy them. I still have those copies many a year later. I don't know how many more years I'll have left. It feels like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh. So, what is it with you people? I'm definitely leaving that in. Thank you for watching this series of Star Trek awesomeness. Again, I shall consider maybe another series. I'm not quite sure. Do comment, especially if you know whereabouts, if you have found or do know where to find these particular things. This particular one, which would be probably a lot harder to find than the actual books. So, help a Trekkie out and do share the information if you have it. Do comment a thumbs up, which you can't seem to do because he's stuck on the trigger. And subscribe for more odd, strange, various random videos. You never know what might pop up. And again, live long and prosper.